Too Many Hats podcast with your hosts with the most, Tony and Lavelle. Every morning from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. We also have Queen Watkins with Clock That He. Tune in with us and have a great time. Let's talk about it right here. Too Many Hats podcast.
Top of the morning to you, my good people. Happy Thursday. Throwback Thursday, Throw It Thursday, Tipping Thursday, whatever you want to call it. It's Thursday. It's your host with the most, man. Tony Mays, LaBelle Salter.
What it do, my guy?
What's up, bro?
Well, it's another day in the neighborhood, as Mr. Rogers was saying.
You was tripping.
I just ain't like my voice, my nigga. Let me stop.
Let me stop acting a fool this morning. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, man. This your host with the most, Tony Mays, LaBelle Salter. What it do, my guy?
Man, good to be here, Doc.
I know that, man. It's better be seen than be viewed.
What you said?
Man, I got another good one for y'all today, bro. Another good one, man. How should men? Because I kind of, on Instagram, I just said, how do women learn how to be wives? But in actuality, this is a question for both men and women. How do men and women learn how to become husbands and wives? It's a question for both. Even though the video I'm gonna play mainly talks about wives, but I think this question should be addressed to both, because if women have to learn how to be wives, then men should have to learn how to be husbands.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna play this video in a minute, but I just wanted to ask that question this morning. How should men and women learn how to become husbands and wives? Because I think we take this girlfriend, boyfriend stuff to the extreme sometimes. And you got women and men out here that have really didn't have the proper models or role models or guidance growing up. They didn't see a husband in the household. They didn't see a wife in the household. And so if you are a young man that grew up in a household with a single mother, you didn't have that example unless you was looking at granddaddy being a husband or uncle being a husband, or you had some other role models that were outside of the house that you closely watched and were your role models, right? So if you weren't directly or you weren't watching those people, who did you have to show you how to be a husband if you were a young man? And if you were a young lady coming up in a single household with a single mother, and she had never been a wife, how was she teaching you how to become a wife if you didn't have that example there? And so I'm gonna play this video, man, and the video kind of talks about, and I think he was really just trying to. He had a couple of women that were just kind of being a little saying that they know what men want and all this stuff. And he was like, "Yeah, how could you know what men want, as a wife if you've never been a wife or didn't have the role model or the example of a wife?" So I'm gonna play the video.
General, women are raising their daughters to be single mothers because they are single. They're single mother, and they're like, "I'm gonna teach you how to be strong." And my mama told me I don't need no man. And they have raised you to be a single woman.
That's terrible.
And go so you don't need to depend on no man. Get you an education and go to college. They have groomed you to be a single mother. But if you want to be a wife, you have to learn how to be a wife from a wife, the same way you will learn how to cook from a chef. Then once you surround yourself with other wives, then you will know what's intrinsically important to a man. A lot of y'all women ain't. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Would you learn how to play basketball from a football? Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Would you learn how to play basketball from a football coach?
I guess not.
Would you learn how to play basketball from a football coach?
No.
If you want to learn how to cook, who would you want to teach you?
A chef.
If you want to learn how to drive a car, who you want to teach you?
A driver?
If you want to learn how to fly a plane, who gonna teach you?
A pilot?
How are y'all learning how to be wives and your mother wasn't a wife? You just said if you want to learn to fly a plane, you're gonna go to a pilot. You want to learn how to cook, you're gonna go to a chef. Women don't know what's intrinsically important to a man. They don't know how to be a wife because their mothers wasn't wise. In general, women are raising their daughters to be single mothers because they are single. They're single mother, and they're like, "I'm gonna teach you how to be strong." And my mama told me I don't need no.
All right, so it was just basically playing back through the video again, but I mean, he made a good value. I think this is applicable to both sides of the coin. It's not just applicable to women. This is applicable to both men and women. You talk about men coming up in the households with a single mother. How is he going to learn how to be a husband if he has not had the example from a man being a husband, whether it be an uncle, granddaddy, or somebody else that he closely watched? If he didn't have that example, how did he learn how to be a husband? Luckily, man, I came up what you and I both did. You came up in a household where your father was there, and he was a husband. Actually, you kind of watched him twice, and both times he set a good example of what a husband should be, and so you had a good example of how to be a husband. And the same for me, although my stepfather wasn't perfect, and by all means my father wasn't perfect, because my father was and my mom separated when I was about 1 or 2 years old. But when they found a divorce and my mom remarried to my stepfather was there most of my childhood and adult life, and I watched him. And when you talk about, and I know this may be out of the order a little bit in terms of submissive, but I watched my stepfather be submissive, and it's weird, and it, maybe that's probably really not the best word, submissive. So I watched my mom be submissive to my stepfather, but I also watched my stepfather have a reverence and respect for my mother. So that I'm gonna use them words as opposed to submissive.
But submission go both ways. I mean, for whatever reason, that's always just been seen as like it's just the wife role, but submission go both ways.
Yeah, but I just didn't want to paint that picture. So I'm gonna say more of of reverence and respect for her, for her, because my stepfather came in and my mom had 4 children already by my dad. And so he came in and he had children from a previous marriage. So but his children were grown at the point. you know, because his children, he was a lot older than my mom, and so his children were grown, and so I watched this man come in and take care of 4 children that were not his own, didn't complain, fed us, clothed us, did everything he needed to do, and
That was the mission.
uh,
That was the mission.
yeah,
He
but
had to
I
humble. That
watched
was
him.
humility. That was a whole lot of stuff. He humbled himself.
Yeah, I watched him come in and do that, bro, and just really took care of us and gave us an example of what it's like to be a husband. And that's why, you know, it wasn't hard for me to love on my daughter. Now you see, it wasn't hard for me to love on my daughter because I had an example of a man who wasn't my biological father loving on me.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though I've been there, he wasn't there. Yeah, you can say he was there. I mean, it's from the time I was 2-3 years old, he was there. Only difference between him and me is that I was there when my daughter was born.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it wasn't hard for me to learn how to love a child that wasn't biologically mine. It wasn't hard for me to love a woman and to show a woman how to protect her, how to provide for her. It wasn't hard for me to do that because I had a perfect example, and a lot of people don't. So again, I'm gonna ask the question: how can men and women learn how to be husbands and wives if you never had the example? If you're a single mother, you've never been married, and you raising a bunch of house full of girls, how are you gonna teach them how to be a wife, a good wife, or a wife, period?
Yeah.
What's up, Fluka? Christopher Broom says, hold on, let me go back.
What's up, Fluka? Long time, bro.
Yeah. Christopher Broom said, nothing wrong with a man being submissive. The Bible says the wife is to submit to the husband submit to the wife, but both submit to each other. Mitchell Fluka said, when men have a good understanding of what a wife is and honor her through love is all natural as breathing. Craig said, all right, Tony, speak your testimony. Amen, man. Phyllis said, some things I learned from watching others, but some things are just plain common sense. You can't always use the excuse of not having no one to teach you. I was raised from a single mother, and some things you're going to learn on your own. Yeah, but you come under. You got to understand, Phyllis. You come under a whole different generation.
Yeah, the regime was totally different.
You come under a whole different generation. These kids nowadays is different.
The parents
They
don't.
You talk about some things that plain common sense. They don't have. A lot of them don't have that.
This ain't coming.
It ain't coming. Society is the worst teacher. Exactly. Christopher Room said, well, you can learn through imagination and instinct. Yeah. And I think that's where it comes from. If you are the type of person, Christopher, and Phyllis, if you are the type of person, or you came up where you said, I'm not gonna be that person that kind of falls in that same old classification of we a generation that don't know how to learn nothing. Oh, I had a single mother, and just because I had a single mother, I'm gonna go to school, I'm gonna get my education, I'm gonna graduate with this Harvard degree, I'm gonna be somebody. I'm not gonna let society dictate to me what I'm gonna be or what I'm gonna become. You know, you have a few children that have that mindset, but not a lot of them. Not these days. A lot of them don't have that mindset.
Yeah, too. Because like when you talk about society, even with how our culture is now, you used to be able to turn on the TV and see a wholesome marriage and see a wholesome family, or hear a wholesome song.
Yeah,
that's gone.
Yeah, I mean we had the Huxtables.
Right.
Mitchell Fluker said, I was reared in a single family household, but I watched my grandparents. But that's what I said at the start of this. If you didn't have some uncles or aunts to watch that were, or grandparents or somebody to set an example for you. How did you learn how to be a husband or a wife or to love, even the love? And so he watched his grandparents honor each other incredibly well. Yeah. And he said, that became my standard for family. Exactly. And Chris said, but I do agree, the book needs an example of some sort. Yeah, for sure. They honored and respected each other and overcame the worst. And that's why I said, like with my stepfather, like I just watched him, like I said, just be a man, stand on like everything a man was supposed to be. Was he perfect? No. So I'm not saying that now. I'm don't get that confused with being perfect. But I watched him provide. I watched him be a protector. I watched when my mother needed something, him coming in, and them, because I was the one I'm paying attention. I'm listening, and I could hear her saying, "Babe, we got to do this, do that." I remember when my mama wanted to buy her house because she was renting the house for a long time, and I heard her tell my stepfather. She said, "Well, the man want to sell the house." And he told me he'll sell it to me since I've been basically renting. I was saying he'll sell it to me for this. And my stepdad said, so when he need the money back? She said, well, I mean, soon as you can get, soon we can get the money. It's a good deal. Blah 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 blah. Man, over the next month or so, I watched my stepfather go out and hustle, bro, and get that money, bro. Come back in and handle that money in cash. And I heard him say, go pay that man for this house.
Yeah. Yeah,
Joe, so
difference, bro.
I watched it, bro. He said, go pay that man for this house. Christmas said, a child had to tell me Sunday that you and your wife talk so normal to each other. What? Oh my God. He'd been seeing his folks argue all the time, and what my wife and I was doing was FF to him. I don't know what FF to him. What FF. Y'all know y'all can't give me with all that stuff. Was FF to him, whatever that means. I guess you come back and tell me what that means, Christopher.
Yeah. That's just like one time when my dad always shared his testimony. He said we was in the process.
Not FF. What is FF?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what FF is.
He just said something.
Yeah, he said he mean not FF. I mean, I don't know what they mean.
Okay.
Oh, he said he mean off, not FF. Okay, I got you.
But we was in the process. I think I may have been like maybe 3 or 4 years old, and we had just actually moved in the house, and he had lost his job for a brief moment, and they was getting ready to auction off the house. That's how he had to like literally make a decision, and he said he really didn't know what to do. He said he went to a couple of folks or whatever, and he said he went to the library. And he said, he walked in, he asked the lady, he said, do we have any books on how to, help with, trying to save your home or something like that? And she said, no, da-da-da-da-da. He could probably tell the story better than I can. But he said, he just started walking through the library looking for books. He said, literally, it was a book laying on the floor that had a dog pulling a shirt off a man. And the title of the book was How to Get Creditors Off Your Back. He said he read the book and it had a clause in there how to do such. He went and they was getting ready to auction off the house. He got to the courthouse just in time to save the house.
Wow.
So it just reminds me, like you said, your stepfather, you know what I'm saying, just stepping up and doing his thing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mitchell says, my grandfather made outside the marriage, and my grandmother made him bring her to the house. My grandfather made outside. I guess what made a baby or something. Yeah, I
Mhm.
guess a baby outside of the marriage. And my grandmother made him bring her to the house. She told him she would not allow that child to go about life without knowing her family. They slept in separate beds for years, and 4 children were made during those years in a separate bed.
Mm.
Ooh, she said divorce never crossed her mind because he was a good man and a great father, and they remained married for over 60 years. Ooh, grandmama was a G.
You know, we talked about that one time.
Yeah, yeah, grandma was a G. But that's what they did. They stayed married. You know, we talked about. Man, I watched my grandmama and granddaddy, bro. My granddaddy was a deacon at the church, and my grandmother was a mother, bro. But I watched my granddaddy come home sometime. He being worked out there at his hog pen, or out in the country. You know, they get out there in the country. You know, they go out there. Him and his brothers, them out in the country, slopping hogs and doing stuff and killing hogs, whatever they were doing, and get to drinking. And he come home funky drunk, man, and want to raise noise. And my grandmama was not that tight, bro. And I watched my grandmama, you know, the cast iron skillets.
Mm-hmm.
I watched my grandmama lay him out with one of them cast iron skillets. Bam! And we went to pick him up. She said, "No, let him lay there. He'll be all right."
Wow.
But the next day, back talking, cooking his dinner meals, and back at it, you know, like normal.
Yeah.
Man, these folks be in divorce court so quick. Where these women at? They quiet, ain't it, Chris?
Yeah,
Man,
ain't
they
no
so
one
quiet.
this morning. Yeah. No,
They
Phyllis was here.
quiet.
Phyllis
They
was
so quiet this morning, boy. Except Phyllis. Phyllis always gonna speak her truth. When
here.
it's
Yeah,
real, it's real. Yeah.
my granddaddy, man, was the same way, boy. That man used to be drunk as Cooter Brown, man. But he made sure he took care of that house.
Yeah. Man,
That house
look, never. Man, he came, he took care of that house, man. Because grandmama, you know, grandmama them didn't work back then.
Mm-mm.
I watched my grandmama, she
worked
took
for a
care of
little
the
while,
house. She kept the house clean. She cooked. If we came over there, cause most time my grandmama stayed right around the corner, so and all my cousins and stuff, we all stayed in the same vicinity, so we all met up at grandmama's house.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of time, grandmama was the one fixing us lunch and stuff like that. Y'all want some sandwiches? Go in there and fix us some sandwiches or whatever. Or you know, they had chicken like they had chickens in their backyard, bro. And them chickens used to be off the chain. But I watched my grandma walk out right the one out. You know, I guess she ready to cook up chicken and she had no chicken in the house. She went out there and wrung one of them chicken neck, bro. Man, and plucked it, man, set them in some hot water, plucked them fella off, and shoot, by dinner time, it was chicken in there.
Boy, good chicken too.
Right, bro. Like, I've seen some stuff, man. That's probably why I don't really care for chicken that much now today.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he said, no, I'm saying were the women letting men have babies on the side and not thinking about divorce? Oh, yeah, that probably ain't gonna happen today at this day and time. Well, I mean, it's still happening. It's happening, but I'm talking about like how the women was back then, where they were more accepting, you know, or you know, and I think maybe because they were more accepting because a lot of them did not work. They weren't the breadwinners, and so what they gonna do? I ain't got no skill but being a homemaker. So you know what I'm saying. So I can only imagine what the mindset was back then.
You didn't keep in mind a lot of time when they had children together, they was made to get married. So
Yeah,
they, you know what you're supposed to do.
yeah, because my grandmother on my dad's side, my grandmother was she was promised to my granddaddy, and he was an older man. She was young, and I think he paid a deity or something to my great grandmother them and grandfather them for her hand in marriage.
Mhm.
So yeah, bro, this is wild, man. Like, so let me go back to the question again. How should men and women learn how to become husbands and wives? How should men and women learn how to become husbands and wives?
I think
You
simply,
don't have the
you know,
example again. Let me play this video, Levette. I want to play the video because I want to make sure
Oh man, and
we
this
add a
is
little
they have
context.
raised you to be a single woman.
That's
And
terrible.
go be so you don't need to depend on no man, get you an education and go to college. They have groomed you to be a single mother. But if you want to be a wife, you have to learn how to be a wife from a wife, the same way you will learn how to cook from a chef. Then once you surround yourself with other wives, then you will know what's intrinsically important to a man. A lot of y'all women ain't. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Would you learn how to play basketball from a football? Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Would you learn how to play basketball from a football coach?
I guess not.
Would you learn how to play basketball from a football coach?
No.
If you want to learn how to cook, who would you want to teach you?
A chef.
If you want to learn how to drive a car, who you want to teach you?
A driver?
If you want to learn how to fly a plane, who gonna teach you?
A pilot?
How are y'all learning how to be wives and your mother wasn't a wife? You just said if you want to learn to fly a plane, you're gonna go to a
Yeah. So I mean, he had a good point. I mean, if I want to learn how to play football, I ain't gonna go to a basketball coach.
but I mean, even what he's saying is actually true. But I mean, you got people now that don't even want to be married, let alone talking about being a husband and wife. You got a desire to be married. Marriage is one of those things that's like, you know, you get to talking about marriage, if I was like, man, I ain't getting married, man. I don't, and you know, so it ain't even a topic of discussion. So you want to, you know, you be a husband, you got to be a husband and wife first of all.
And I mentioned this the other day. You know, Monica and I was interviewed on the Cannon's podcast. Sean and Taylor Cannon, young couple. And we were interviewed on their podcast. They came to the house. He wanted to come to the house, sit at the bar and interview us. And I asked him a question because as a young couple being married, like I was, and just how they show their love for each other, I was impressed. And I said, man, in the day and time where marriage is not that favorable, how did you know that you wanted to marry this woman and be her husband and her to be your wife?
Good question.
And you know what he told me?
What?
He said, when I looked at her, and I realized, this is what he told me. He said, when I looked at her and I realized that she was for me in every aspect of life. She was for me. Like she was rooting me on. She was in my corner. She had my best interest at heart. She had my back. And he said, and I knew I wanted the same thing for her. He said it was undeniable. Like that was my wife. I knew I wanted that to be my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, you know, it's different now. I said, because people get married now, it's a business. I said, even though marriage is a partnership anyway, and if you could get the marriage part, just the relationship aspect of it right, if you go in business together, you can be very successful in that too, because you're used to doing it together. I said, but they get married just on the GP now is business. Like you could do this and you could do that, and I can do this and do that. Let's get married. It's beneficial for us to get married. It's not, there's no love involved. There is no nothing. It's just we're getting married just for the purpose of business.
Yep. Because I know we one of those parts. We found on the internet those 10 different reasons why people get married.
Yeah.
And none of them about no love.
Yeah, it wasn't at all. Phyllis said being a wife don't mean you can't be independent.
What?
Yeah, you got to explain that one, because being a wife, the independency goes out the door when you become a wife. When you a wife, ain't no independent. We together.
They go both ways. No, I don't even know how that makes sense. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't get you gonna have to explain that one.
Yeah, man. Yeah, because they go out the door for both individuals when you get married. Ain't no independency. Everybody need everybody.
Yeah, we a team. We a unit.
Period. No,
we codependent.
But you know what though? That's another problem. That literally lurked our society and messed it up with this whole movement with women. All my women independent, throw your hands up me, at me, and all this old stuff. And no, a woman wasn't made to be independent. She wasn't. Seriously, she was. Women, you were made for man.
Well, he just said it. He said you got a single mother teaching y'all how to be single mothers, not wives, but single mothers, teaching you how to be independent and all that stuff, teaching you how to be a single mother. And then you go out there, get it with a couple of dudes, have some babies, and then you got a couple of daughters and you teaching them how to be single parents. There's a real example being set.
Mm-hmm.
And not to say every single child is gonna fall into it, because there are gonna be some children that's gonna beat the odds. We got that now. We got children that are saying, I'm not gonna be that way. Like I'm not, that's not how my life is set up. Cause I watched Mr. Jones them down the street, and they had when I went over my friend's house, and Mr. Jones, Miss Jones, they be holding hand when they go out. See, that's why it's important. It's important when and I tell you, like me and Mother go out, when we go out, a lot of times we do hold hand, we walking together, and we've always tried to be the best example for our children and our children's friends when they came around. And I that's why so many of them, they tell us, we respect y'all marriage, we respect y'all because, and they call us Pop and Mom because they was like, y'all like parents to us, but like, because my daddy wasn't even at the house like that around. They tell us stuff like that. And so we tried to be the best example that we could in front of them. And you have to try to be the best example when you feel like folk ain't watching, because that's when they watching.
Yep. When you least expect.
Yeah. and that's what I'm saying. So if Sally Sue, mama's a single mama, and her mama ain't really teaching them, but she going to her friend house down the street, and she always at her friend house, and she see Mr. and Miss Jones, and Mr. and Miss Jones, they get along good, they they cooking, they talking about stuff, and she said, man, that's what I'm talking about. They loving on each other, and she is seeing some example. So she might beat the odds. Because she had some example, but there has to be some example somewhere. Or else you're going to be that same single mama that your mama was, having babies. Man, we was talking the other day, and somebody mentioned this girl that's got about 9 or 10 kids. And I said, 9 or 10 kids? I said, they all got the same daddy? And they said, no, they all got different daddies. I said, bro, what man? They all got different daddies, bro. That's crazy. That's crazy. Anyway. She said, I'm only saying as a couple, you are most definitely together, but you can still achieve your dreams. I know that we are together, but respect and support each other. Oh yeah, but that's not independency.
No, that's two different things.
Yeah. So maybe your word just came out a little wrong, but yeah, that's definitely true. This is a true statement. Yeah. Yeah, and she can have her own dreams.
Right.
So maybe that's what you're talking about the term when you say independent. She can have her own dreams. He can have his own dreams. Y'all can have dreams together, and y'all can support each other's dreams, and y'all can support, y'all dreams together.
Yep.
So I'm gonna take it that's what you was kind of speaking to, alluding to. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, you think my wife's dream was to start a podcast or to build custom bars or to breed English bulldog? No. So, but it was my job as the man when I had something that I wanted to do to sit down with her and share with her, and then share a plan as to how we're gonna do it, and see and make sure she was on board with the plan. So that's kind of how we got there. To be honest, my wife was instrumental in me even building custom bars, because she had me build the very first bar I built was for her.
Yep.
And so to do that, she really fostered a dream. By her saying, encouraging me to build me. You can do it, baby. You can build me one. And her encouraging me, saying, yeah, you can do it. I know you can do it. And me saying, she believed in me. I can do it. Let me find these bar plans online.
Yeah, you did that, Doc.
Look, she didn't care where I got the bar plans from or how I built it. She just wanted it built. And she encouraged me to do so. So I found some bar plans online and actually bought the plan. I think it was $29.99, $19.99 for a book of bar plans. And I bought them, and I got it had, what I liked about the bar plans was when you buy it had a whole list of the supplies you need, and had the cost, even though the cost, they tell you in there the cost may differ per state to state or whatever time frame you was actually building. If you was doing it during that time or maybe a later time, they was telling you that it could fluctuate, which I knew that. But so I bought all the stuff that was on the list, right? But I said, "Ooh, I want to modify this to make this different." So with me modifying it, I had to make modifications in there. And you got to think, I never had done that before, and I'm trying to modify something. And you know how that turned out. Absolutely perfect. I don't know how it turned out perfect, but it turned out really good. And from that point, I started to say, this was really cool, just making this and doing this. And I made another one. And then from that point, in my head, I said, I can make any bar of this just using the basic principles for this. And so from there, I just started making them and modifying them all different kind of ways, however I wanted to, because in my mind, I had the basic format of plan. I started building them in my sleep, bro, like in my head. I done built it, what design, how I was going to cut it. And the next day, put it together. I went from taking a week to frame up a bar to framing it up and putting a bar together in one day.
Wow.
She said, that's what I meant. Yeah, that's what, okay, we got you. Let's clock this tea right quick with my girl, Queen Watkins, man.
Good morning. Y'all know what time it is. Put them phones down, fingers up. It's time to clock that tea with your girl, Queen Watkins. I hope y'all are having an amazing morning. But y'all know what time it is. Time to clock that tea. Have y'all seen the video of the man that was married for 51 years and ended up finding out his kids was not his kids? Yeah, let's talk about it. So there's a guy that was married, of course, for 51 years. He has 2 boys that are in their 40s. His brother was needing a kidney, so they had to do different testings. And come to find out, the boys was not his, neither one of them. So he then said the only good thing that came out of this is that he didn't have part into bringing those 2 idiots into the world today. He also called his wife a bop. Yeah. So in our language, in our terms, it's the 304, right? Because he said the boys got to do their own testing, right? Because the father could be the plumber, the milkman, the mailman, because he knew his old girl got around, right? But you stuck around with her. So he said that he stuck around with her because of the children, the grandchildren, and now the great grandchildren, right? So he did say he wished he knew who the fathers were, because he knew that they weren't the same. But he wished that he knew who they were because he is a judge and he knows about the law. So he was like, he wondered if he could sue them to get his money back, all the money that he didn't put into the boys, because he basically said he's still supporting them. Like, they not doing what they supposed to be doing in life, right? So he want to sue the fathers and trying to get his money back. Okay. So I don't know. He did say he's also going to go home and draw up some papers for a divorce. I mean, it's 51 years. What's the point now? Like, I mean, if you knew back then that she was like that, what's the point now? He was like, he really wished she would have told him at the time, because he may have stayed with her. And then he was like, you know what? I don't know. Y'all know how that goes. I mean, that's probably why she didn't tell you. I mean, she should have said something for real. Or did she know? Since you said she was a bop, she probably thought you was the daddy. I don't know. But old boy ain't trying to play with it no more. He got to the end of the video. He was like, man, I stayed with her for, the kids, the grandkids, and the great grandbabies. But he said, they're not my blood, so fuck them. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's all the tea that I have today. Make sure you tune in to 2 Minute Hats Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. sharp. And don't forget to stay tuned for your girl, Queen Watkins. Clock that tea. Y'all have a blessed day. Bye.
It's the 2 Minute Hats podcast with your host with the most.
That's crazy, bro.
I mean, it go right into our subject matter though, because I mean, how do those boys feel that this gentleman that they've been with all their life and find out that that's not their father, and then for him to turn around and say, you know what, as long as we've been together and you all supposed to be my sons, I don't care, and I don't give a damn how old you is. That shit gotta hurt.
Yeah. So this was the thing. So I don't think he meant, because I saw the video. I don't think that he thought she was a 304, but he was just saying clearly she was, because the kids weren't his. And he said they could be anybody's kids. They could be the milkman's, the mailman. He didn't say that she was messing with these people and he knew it. He just said it could be because this woman was a housewife. He was a judge. He had been a judge and a lawyer for forever. They were married for 51 years, so the lady probably didn't work, right? So he was just saying she had time, and these people were coming by the house. The milkman, mailman, postman, UPS guy, all these people coming by the house, so it could have been anybody. The thing is, I looked at the video, and I know he was saying that, these boys, I guess they were all, they were always into something. And he said he kept questioning. He was like, they didn't get this kind of mindset from me. They had to get it from their mama. That's what he kept saying. They didn't get it because he said they were complete idiots. Like, they would just do crazy stuff, or And so the thing with him was, them genes didn't come from me. They had to come from his mama, right? From their mama. So he dealt with it. He took care of them. He dealt with it because that must come from his mama side. So anywho, his brother was needing a kidney or something. And so everybody was in the family was getting tested to see if they could help him out. when he started, they got their test results back. He realized that them boys could not be his kids. And when they get out the testing and stuff, he figured out they weren't his kids. And he was like, now I understand why they're bumbling idiots, because somebody else they daddy. I was putting it on the mama, but it's somebody else. So I think he said what he said from a place of hurt, because you think 51 years I've been married to this woman, taking care of these kids and all this. And so, and he probably won't go get a divorce, or I don't know, he might, white people might, but I mean, after married for 51 years, you done took care, you got grandkids and all that. I say suck it up and keep moving. Them grandkids and great grandkids don't have to be the butt of the joke.
Mm-hmm.
And them boys either, because they didn't know. You know what I'm saying? That's on the mama.
Yeah.
Yeah. She said, Phyllis said it's his attitude towards the kids. Yeah, them kids, even if he thought the sons was bumbling idiots, the grandkids and great grandkids, come on now.
Yeah.
They innocent in all that. Well, the boys too, they innocent in it too. He just probably a little upset with them because of the way they did in life, and they were a disappointment to him. They had kids and grandkids though.
Yeah.
But to find out after 51 years, you are not the daddy, you got to feel some kind of way. I don't care. You're going to feel
something. You do. I mean, then think about the wife. I mean, she was withholding it all this time and not saying anything. Now she got to live. Now she got to live with that truth, and she got to have a discussion a whole lot of ways. She got to talk to those children. She got to talk to that husband. But yeah, he don't want to talk.
Yeah, because he looking at her and saying, what else have you done that you've been, you know what I'm saying, that you done in these 51 plus years?
Mm-hmm.
So I get him saying I'm going up, because he was a judge. I'm going to drop these divorce papers. he was, that man was hurt, man. I don't care what, 51 years you hurt. You find out you've been taking care of your kids all this time and they ain't your kids.
Yeah.
Nah, bro. That's hurting. That's some hurting information.
But I mean, I wonder sometimes, I've heard this situation so many times before. And I mean, you have relatives that whether you have brothers and sisters or aunts and uncles or however they may work. And I know you don't have family gatherings and stuff. Somebody got to be like, oh, hey, man, Arthur don't look like you could.
Well, we watched that Lauren Lake. We watched that Lauren Lake paternity every day, and it's somebody on there every day where they sister, brother, mama, or somebody saying, "Look at the picture. He don't look like him. Don't look like him." And the judge tell me every time. She said, "We've been doing this a long time," and she said, "We done ran across a whole bunch of cases where they saying, oh, he looked like him. He looked like," and it wasn't a child. And a lot of them said he didn't look like him. Matter of fact, we watched one yesterday where the boy was with this girl, and they was talking about, she's saying she really want to be with him, but the whole time she been with him, she was messing with her ex. She was messing with her ex, sleeping with the ex, and he didn't even know. Like, he found this out in court. Wow. So then the second baby, he said, I just, because he found out she had cheated, and he was like, because he found some texts and stuff, and he said, this woman can't be, the second baby ain't mine. But when you look at both children, like, he was kind of dark skinned, but he had his eyes, it was something about his eyes. And I looked at the older child. He felt like there was no issue with that one. That was his child. He said, that's my road out. But the baby was real light. Now, the mama ain't light. The dad ain't light. But the both babies was real light, and they both had these eyes, and their eyes were greenish gray looking, right?
Mm.
And so I'm saying, how can he think that first one was his and not this second one? And they both look alike. I said, ain't now one of them babies here. Shit. When that judge read the result, after she had to go back and order a paternity test for the first baby as well. And they had to go come back to court. When they came back and that lady told about it, she said, so you've been doing this the whole time? Like, and dude just looking at her like, then she's saying, but I really want, you know, to put that behind us and be with him. And he looking at her like, you ain't gonna do nothing but run back to him. You been with him the whole time. So, but come to find out, both babies was his, bro.
Wow. So we got testimony. There was my friend. She said she don't look nothing like her dad is. She's 99.999% his daughter.
Yep. And I'm telling you, like them both them babies with light skin and green gray eyes, and I said, they dad is white Mexican or something.
But not just
And it
that,
was
like
him.
not necessarily not like look like the father, but you gonna like, especially some family got some strong genes, bro.
Yeah, and it
Like,
can jump generations too. Yeah.
yeah, but like it's gonna be something about that child that just gonna remind you of somebody in the family or something.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's different though, but
Yeah, them paternity tests, man. Like, I be watching them, bro, with Monica, and some of them paternity tests, bro, we be saying, he the dad, and he don't be the daddy at all. And them babies be looking just like him.
I guess they say when you feed them.
And then the thing too, when you sign that birth certificate at the hospital, like getting out of that, paying that child support and all that, you gotta literally try to go back to court and get a judge to actually say, yeah, we can take it, cause it ain't no easy feat to do that. Cause once you sign that birth certificate, you sign saying you the parent. So legally, you are their parent, whether you biologically or not. Legally, you are their parent.
It's binding. Yeah.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Girly Marie said, my family on my dad's side for years have said, I want family. Maybe she was saying I wasn't family. So I went to juvenile court and pulled a court doc, and I'm in fact his natural child. I'm thinking of getting my last name changed, LOL. I want my mom maiden name. Okay. And she said, I do look like my cousin and aunt.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's like
you say my daddy, right? You know, my dad almost looked like a white man, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this is crazy because my dad, he had two siblings. My dad, it was my uncle Willie, and then my auntie. My uncle Willie actually was a little lighter too.
Mm-hmm.
But my auntie was darker. She was darker. So me, Cheryl, Greg, we light. But Velma is dark.
Sure is.
And Velma looked just like my auntie though.
There you go.
Look just like my auntie.
Mm-hmm.
So Velma my daddy could have probably said, that ain't my child. Look at all my other three kids. They light skinned. Look at her.
It's just like my first cousin, my uncle's son, and little Lavelle, they look like brothers, bro.
Mm-hmm.
It's damn scary. They made up just like in everything.
And then I got a nephew that looked just like my older brother.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy looks just like Greg.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's crazy, bro. Like how these kids, man, to come out. So you can very well not look like your parents.
Mm-hmm.
You can jump a generation or 2 or 3 generations, but you know. But what really counts is that 99.9% you are the father.
Yeah. Man, they got to be a hard pill to swallow right there, man. That long.
51 years.
Them ain't your children.
Yep.
Ugh,
51 years is a long time, and then you find out that your kids are not your kids.
Yeah,
That's
that's good, Rich, right there. I got him. Boy,
that's a tough one, bro. That's
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 probably like
tough.
dude told the old boy at the church when he said they told him that he couldn't have his mama funeral at the church. He said, man, I burn this junk down in the daytime. That's that type of anger right there, Doc.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy, bro. Like so we don't know how to be wives or husbands, and we don't know how to be faithful when we are wives and husbands.
Mm,
So that's a lot too, man. That's a lot to take in.
yeah.
She said mine wasn't signed. I was tested 3 months after I was born because my mom took him to court because they told my mom I wasn't his daughter because I didn't look like him. My mom was like, "Bet, come on, take this test." LOL. I
Mm,
honestly didn't find that out until 5 years ago when I was getting my passport. I went my whole life unsure. Wow. Well, we glad you know now.
yeah.
That's see this is the thing, right? I don't really understand that. Not that I don't understand, but I don't like. These kids don't know, man. You got kids growing up, they don't know who their siblings are, they don't know who their mama, dad, their siblings. And there was a case also where this older girl was trying to find out if this man was her daddy. And though she had all these older supposedly siblings, and the one older sibling girl was like, I don't know, she my sister, she might not be my sister. But the one of the brothers accepted it. One of the other sisters was standing with her in court and said, and she looked like the other sister that was standing in court with her. That was crazy. And
Mm-hmm.
she was like, that Mr. So and so, whatever his name, he was a good man, he was a good father, blah 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 blah. And then so the judge asked her, so well, why now? Why do you want to come and find out if he was your father? And she said, because I'm sick. She said my life depended on it. And she said, and I just want to know who my family is before I leave here.
Wow.
So but the girl was like, yeah, but you I ain't been knowing you but 3 weeks, and you sending me text him out, can I give you $20 and all that stuff. So she said, so I think she just wants some money. She's just here for the money, trying to get some money out of us, And the other sibling was like, the brother sent a note in saying, my dad told me that he had another baby. He told me her name, and it was her name. And so, hey, I'm gonna believe what my daddy said.
Yeah.
And the other girl said, yeah, I'm believing. The other one had been knowing her longer, I guess, dealing with her longer than the one that just found out about. I just found out about this 3 weeks ago, you know. So she had her maybe she could have been the baby. I don't know. Sometimes when you think you the baby and you ain't the baby, you
Mm-hmm.
want to kick up against everybody who said, nah, you think you the baby? Nah, I'm the baby. So I don't know. But it was weird.
Man,
I didn't get a chance to finish watching whether or not she was the man's child or not.
man, Tor, thank you for sharing that testimony with us, man. Of course, I never would have knew that you shared it with us, but that's a lot to
Yeah.
go through.
Yeah. And just found out 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's tough.
Cause it's just like with my niece and nephew, bro. That ain't nothing but me and my sister all over again.
Right. Rodney said he glad he found out his dad's side, man. Found my dad's side of the family. And you never know, like you don't know what you so I'm gonna tell this last little one. I know this lady who was dating this I don't know if he was a lawyer or a doctor. I don't want to say no names.
Mm-hmm.
But he was dating her. She was dating him. And come to find out, he was D.L. Hughley's daddy, biological daddy.
Mm-hmm.
And D.L. Hughley's wife one found him and reached out to him. And they were talking. And come to find out. So what happened was he was in the when he met DL's mama, he was about to go to the military or whatever, and they were married. He went to the military or whatever, and something happened, and anyway, they separated. She took the kids, went to California, whatever, and they lost contact, whatever. And so she remarried while the kids were young. So all the kids took her new husband's name, the Hughley name.
Mm-hmm.
But then he came home, remarried, had kids. So anyway, DL reached out to him and said, "Hey man, I want to try to get to know you for the sake of my kids," stuff like that. And they flew him out to California. And he told DL, he said, I can pay for my own ticket now. I don't need you to pay for my ticket. I can pay for my own ticket. I'm good. And DL said, no, we're gonna fly you out. And so they flew him out. And so they went to talking about it. They were sitting there talking and stuff and trying to figure out like what happened. And he told him, he said, your mom took y'all away from me. She took y'all and moved and never contacted me again. And I didn't know how to find y'all.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, DL told him, said, I figured it was something like that. He said, then she had to remarry. And he said, yeah, she remarried and we took his last name because he was the only father we knew, And he said, but I'm going to do you just like I did. He said, I know you want something. But he said he didn't even know who DL Hughley was. Like he said, I don't watch a lot of TV. He said, I know you didn't see me on the TV and all this stuff. And he said, he called him Daryl. He said, Daryl, I don't watch TV like that, so I really don't know who he said, I'm DL Hughley. He said, I don't know that. I don't know what that is, who that is. He said, I don't watch TV like that. I don't have time. And he said, well, I'm on TV. I do pretty good, And he said, I'm gonna do you like I did my mom. He said, I don't need nothing from you, son. He said, just knowing that you're out here, you're okay is all that I'm glad. I don't need anything from you.
Mm-hmm.
So they was chopping up, and he was telling him that his other son, because he got a son that's a lawyer, he said, man, I always wanted to be a lawyer, and you telling me that he's a deal told me, I always want to be a lawyer. Now you telling me I got a brother that's a lawyer. So anyway, I thought that was intriguing and interesting, man. You just never know, bro. Like, and stuff happens. The mom took them kids young, moved on, started a whole new life with another man. and so you don't. But how fair is that? And how fair was that to DL them? Because now they got brothers and sisters that they grown that they never had to have a relationship with. So it's just not fair to the kids. You know what I'm saying? And she said she 43. So the 5 years ago she was 38 years old, just finding out.
Wow.
Out of all that time, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy. Anywho. Don't y'all forget about You Deserve a Summification. Make a difference, y'all. We trying to send this family of 6, this mother and her 5 children, on a little weekend getaway, a little small weekend getaway, nothing big, but we need your help in doing so. You can give by scanning the QR codes that's on the bottom of this flyer if you want to give, or you can donate to our Cash App, 2 Men in Hats, $ 2 Men in Hats 2024. Look, it's her today. It could be you tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Ain't nobody, I done heard all the stuff. Ain't nobody tell her go out there and have 5 kids. Yeah, man, look, regardless, we all make mistakes. Not to say her kids were a mistake. I'm just saying we all go out there and we've done some stuff and did some stuff that we're not proud of. But we want to be able to send her on just a weekend getaway with her kids, where her kids can enjoy. They can enjoy each other's company, enjoy each other, and just let their hair down for a weekend and get away. And we like to do that, and we need your help in doing so. So again, you can Cash App us. It's $ 2 Men in Hats 2024. That's the $ 2 Men in Hats 2024 all together. Cash App, and so we can make this a reality. We're getting really close to the deadline. We wanted our deadline to be May 31st, so we're in the 1st of May. We got 30 days to make this happen. So we really want you guys to kind of dig deep, go in that pocket, man, throw out them 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, $100, so we can make this a reality for the family. So thank you guys for your support in advance. We appreciate it. All right, Lavelle.
Man, great show today, man. Seemed like some of our folks was missing in action. We had number 2 women today. So it's all good. But good food for thought today. So man, appreciate y'all coming up with that, you and Monica. I have that happening there.
That was all me right there, bro.
Okay.
That was all me.
Yeah, but yeah, good show. So yeah, I think that's all I have, man. We can pray and get ready for Freestyle Friday tomorrow.
All right.
Yes, sir. Most gracious Eternal God, our Father, Lord God, we thank you for waking us up this morning, starting us on our way, giving us reasonable portion of health and strength. Lord God, we actually continue to bless us through the remainder of the week, the remainder of the day. Continue to bless our efforts, Lord God. Continue to bring us close together. Lord God, continue to touch Tony family, Queen family, my family, and every family that's represented that fellowships with us. We actually continue to do these things in your dollar son Jesus' name. And we said amen.
Amen. Man, we'll see you all tomorrow. Same bad time.
Same bad place.
2 Men in Hats. Let's talk about it.
It's the 2 Minute Hats podcast with your hosts with the most, Tony and Lavelle. Every morning from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. We also have Queen Watkins with Clock That He. Tune in with us and have a great time. Let's talk about it right here. 2 Minute Hats podcast.